Hey, good morning from Japan. Ohayou gozaimasu. It's Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House. Are you good? Are you genki? It's a bit chilly here, as you can see. I'm wrapped up. Anyway, without further ado, I'm very excited to talk about Star Trek, the original series, The Naked Time, which is, according to Wikipedia, the fourth episode, but it's not actually the fourth that was made, and I've got somebody who's going to tell you all about that. The one, the only, the Star Trek lore incredible nerdporial life form. Let me bring him in. I'm not sure what his name is today, though. Let's see. How you doing?
Good. I'm Cyporial 2000. Welcome. Or, I mean, not welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great to see you. What do you think of the intro, nerdporial?
Intro was amazing. I liked it. It was pretty cool. Gave it it gave it that little 80s, gave it that 80s that 80s hip to it. So I thought it was awesome. I thought it was
That was
awesome.
a bit weird, the music. It wasn't like Star Trekky music, but I thought, I'm in love with the 80s at the moment. Let's have a bit of synth wave. You got the mixture of 60s sci-fi and 80s synth.
Yep.
Okay, so without further, as I say, I keep saying that, without further ado, can you please introduce this episode, Nerdporial, The Naked Time? It's not actually the fourth that was made, is it? The fourth episode.
Nope. It was episode 7 in production order, and it actually directly references the previous episode, The Man Trap. So without further ado, this is the press release from NBC. The spaceship USS Enterprise faces imminent destruction when a strange sickness incapacitates the crew in The Naked Time on Star Trek. Thursday, September 29th, NBC Television Network Colorcast. Co-starring regulars are William Shatner as Captain James Kirk and Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock. A landing party returns to the Enterprise from another planet, unaware that they are bringing aboard a disease with which they have been contaminated and which soon spreads throughout the crew. As Dr. McCoy, played by DeForest Kelley, frantically seeks an antidote to stem the epidemic, the crew verges on mutiny, which virtually paralyzes the huge craft. To compound the situation, due to an act of sabotage carried by one of the inflicted, Lieutenant Riley, the ship is being pulled towards an unstable Arctic world and inescapable destruction. And that's pretty much it. So
That's great. Thank you for that. That's cool. That was what is that from the press release? They said the CBS one.
NBC.
NBC. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading the history of the production today. So there's a lot of they went into detail on the Star Trek DVDs that came out back in 2004, especially because John D.F. Black and his wife were both still alive to do the interviews, and they talked about the production of that episode. Like, this was, I think, the one episode that he actually wrote, and then him and Roddenberry bucked heads like repeatedly, because Roddenberry would keep rewriting his stuff, and he'd be like he'd go up to, he's like, Gene, what the hell are you doing? You're making my script worse. He's like, tough. He's like, tough. I'm the creator. Deal with it. that was Mr. Roddenberry for you. So you think
that's the only one. That's the only one that John D.F. Black wrote, as far as you know. Yeah, it says it first aired in Nerdporial in September 29th, 1966. There we go.
Oh yeah. We got the promo that I saw from the VHS, the 80s VHS.
Yeah,
did reveal quite a bit. Like, I was expecting like a major fight between Kirk and Spock initially, because when I was a kid, that's what I always looked forward to. I always wanted to see. I was always like, "Ooh, Kirk is fighting Spock. Holy crap! I got to see how that turns out," because Spock is like at least 5 or 6 times the strength of Kirk. And like you've seen they show like how different in strength that they are. So it just, when I was a kid, I'd be watching, I'd be like, oh, I want to see more. So it would be like a couple of swings and that would be it. This was a single swing, and yeah.
Well, that Spock's got to be holding back because, of course he will. Like you said, he's too strong for Jim, but it's a cool little scene, isn't it? I like the one, like, William Shatner, Jim Kirk, he has a propensity to slap rather than punch, doesn't he? So he kind of slaps him twice. For the third slap, Spock catches his hand.
Yeah.
And you just see then, like, oh, Jesus, be careful. Be careful, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why he was slapped, he doesn't, I don't know how often he slaps people. I mean, I'd have to really think about it, but he slaps Spock several times because they are like 3 minutes from imminent destruction. Like, they are locked in orbit. They are locked in orbit on, or they are moving like a bullet towards the atmosphere of this planet. This planet is diminishing completely, and because of that, they need warp engines, and the warp engines were shut off, and they need 30 minutes to turn them on. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to try and mix the matter and antimatter cold, and they need a formula in order to do that. There's a theoretical way to do this that's never been done, and Spock is under this, influence, under this little alcohol disease, which is basically what it is.
Is that what it is?
And Spock
I suffer from that, Nerdporial, quite often, the alcohol disease. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, just by perspiration. You just touch it. Just touch someone. It goes through your pores and everything, like water.
Yeah.
It's basically water. That's all it was. But he knew the formula, and Spock was in this state, and Kirk just kept smacking him to get him to snap out of it. And he was able to bring himself out, and then Kirk gets hit with the disease, and then he's fine, and then Spock is fine. So. But you get to see quite a bit of insight into these characters going in. But
you do. I'm going to share some photos as well, Nerdporial. We can talk about a little bit. We don't have to go through the whole thing, but let's just talk about the things that we liked. But check this out. Daniel's got a good point here. People underestimate a good slap in a fight. A closed fist has a chance of breaking your own hand. Yeah, if you're not careful.
That's true.
Sure, that's a good point.
That's why I always go for the neck.
Ooh. Dangerous.
That would knock anybody down. So you have to be careful with that. So.
Okay, Nerdporial. So hopefully I'm not going robotic. StreamYard has been weird with me recently when I share things. We open up, don't we, on this planet? Can you tell us a little bit about this opening scene? Because it's very cool. Look how gorgeous that looks.
Yeah, I mean, look at all that material on the wall that they had to use to make it look like it was frozen. But so the objective, so they're at this planet called Psi 2000, which is my namesake basically. I couldn't think of anything else, so I sound like a vacuum. Psi-Porial 2000 sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
That's why. Honest. Okay.
Which is funny is because what they have, what Spock and a lieutenant, I think he's Lieutenant Termolan, Joey. They look like they have like not quite like hair dryers, but they look something like hair dryers that they use to like measure everything. It's funny, but the purpose is they're supposed to pick up these scientists. So this is like an observation center right here, observation post on this planet that has been dead for a while. So the sun here went supernova a while ago, and what's interesting is Spock says this could be the future of Earth. This could be the possible future of Earth, once, our sun goes dark, as they say. But the thing is so they needed to pick up the scientists, and the other objective was to observe and gather data as the planet is deteriorating, as it's disintegrating. So they have to be in the closest possible orbit in order to do that, which basically sets up the major disaster that ensues in this episode. I just love how this episode sets things up and pays it off, and things actually happen. One thing I like about older television shows is things actually happen. They don't just talk and talk and talk and talk, and then maybe at the very end there's a big bombshell or there's a cliffhanger that didn't feel earned, like a lot of modern shows.
They're not explaining everything, are they, Nerdporial, as they go? That's what's so refreshing, like after, watching modern TV for a while. They don't have to explain everything. There's a lot which is left, okay, you can work it out. They treat the viewer as intelligent, which is a good thing. Yeah, and viewers came back because of that. Like this developed into an insane fandom. I think there were people waving signs saying Spock for president in 1968 or something. Like crazy stuff like that. Like, there were major fans, and a lot of people were watching. This episode actually was like number one for its time slot, I believe, from what I read in this, from what I'm reading in These Are the Voyages. So oh wow.
But yeah, so what's funny about this right here is the actor knew better. He's like, why is my character taking off his gloves? That's idiotic.
Exactly.
The director, Mark Daniels was the director of this episode, is like, you know what? You're absolutely right. But if you don't take off the glove, we don't have a show. And he's like, okay, I'm hired to do this. Okay. And
It
so
does stand out,
takes,
doesn't it, Napoleon? When I was rewatching it this morning, it stands out. You're like, okay, here we go. He's making a real point of taking off just one glove, putting it down, and then he goes exploring underneath this like part of the table or desk.
and not only do they, and not only does he take off his glove, but the suits are so bad in this scene. Like there's nothing sealing. Like there's nothing sealing. Like he's just like he just puts it under his helmet and he starts rubbing his nose. I'm just like, oh my God, like you're exposed to the elements. This is just like, I hate to compare this episode because this is a classic. I mean, this is like the one thing that's probably wrong because the rest of the episode, the bottle episode aspect, where it takes place on the rest of the ship is brilliant.
Yes.
But like there's an episode of the Orville, the new season, where they go to this, they go into this forbidden territory that the Krill never go in because it's full of depravity and evil.
Right.
Well, they go there, and the admiral of all people, the one of the few things that you want to protect is your admiral. So the Orville has an admiral with them, a new admiral that we never seen before, which means likely he's going to die or something bad's going to happen to him. Well, something bad did happen to him because he was exposed to this space station's like atmosphere. It was an evil red looking space station that's in Krill space that they never go near.
Okay.
Well, he turned in. Oh, so the admiral gets hit by this little, it's like this little thing just spits in his face, and then he turns into an evil fly bug monster. And when they spit in your face, you become a fly bug monster. So it was messed up, and they couldn't save them. Their DNA was completely rewritten, and they just left the Orville, and that was it. That was how the episode ended. And I was just thinking. I mean, I didn't think about this episode, but I was like, that was idiotic. I mean, come on, you got to think about these things. But even though still the Orville's much better written than majority of modern entertainment, and a lot of people have issues with the latest season, and I don't blame them, especially the way it ended.
Current Star Trek, no, probably we won't go down that rabbit hole, will we? Good to see in the chat.
We've got 3's coming up.
Oh, it's coming soon. Sub-Commander Tal.
Yep. So Sub-Commander Tal, what's up, man?
Great to see you. Zombie Box Reviews is here.
Oh, Sub-Commander Tal. Guess what I'm drinking? I'm drinking Romulan ale. Look how blue that is.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not. I'm drinking ice. This is what I'm drinking right now. Ice blueberry.
Oh, nice. That looks good.
Yeah.
Hail and shout out to Miss Marty Muses, Roman of the Empire. 6 is here as well. Great to see you. Getting worried about this photo, so I'm going to change it, Napoleon. Here we go. Okay, back on the ship, back to the Enterprise, and we get again, I know it's old, but the colour is so good on these. I don't know if are they restorations? Have they been restored? Because the quality they were restored, beautiful.
Yeah, like this is the new version. So there's the old version, and then there's this version. So yeah, look at the color. You got the blue walls in the background, and then you got the red. You have McCoy's red liquor cabinet right there. They're in the sickbay right now. And this is Joe played by Stuart Moss. This is not his only episode. He was in another episode, but he played a different character because obviously, spoiler alert, this character dies. He offs himself with a butter knife.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. He offs himself with a butter knife. And like the actor himself says, I am probably the only character in the history of television that died from a wound from a butter knife.
I thought it was kind of a mistake, though, wasn't it? Because they were struggling to fight and get the knife off him, and they fell on the floor. 3 of them. Sulu, one of the red coats, and sorry, red shirts.
It was Sulu and Riley. So it was Sulu and Riley.
One.
Riley's he's like, Joey, put the knife down, will you? And Sulu's like, what are you doing, Joe? And then they're both trying to wrestle the butter knife off him, and you see George Takei's like. And Bruce Hyde, who plays Kevin Riley, is just like, they're both kind of overacting it, but they're both. I mean, Bruce Hyde, this was like one of his earliest roles. He was only 24 when he did this. This actor, I think Stuart Moss was like 28. So yeah, these guys were pretty young. They were theater. I think they were theater actors back in the day. So
I got that vibe from watching his performance because he is quite dramatic, but very good looking as well in this. He was looking good.
Yeah, they put a lot of makeup on him. He was in the episode By Any Other Name in season 2. He plays one of the Kelvins. He plays one of the Kelvins. If you don't remember, that's the episode where the Enterprise is taken over by this humanoid-looking aliens. They call themselves the Kelvins. They're from Andromeda. They have these buttons on their belts that gives them the ability to paralyze anybody within a certain range. So that's how they captured the Enterprise.
Not the Kelvins.
They paralyze people, and if you act against them, they use the same button on their belt and they turn you into crystal. And if you're a bad boy and they turn one of your crew into, like Kirk was a bad boy, they turned one of his crew into crystal. They smashed the crystal, killing that crew. It's crazy, but he was great in that one too. So this is a great moment right here. So he was the one that got hit the first. He's the one that's pretty much spread the virus on the ship. And they went through like all this crazy. They went through all this crazy like decontamination. McCoy literally says he's been medically checked, and we did this and we did that. We went through everything possible, and of course, then Kirk is like, Bones, I want the impossible check too. And McCoy's just like, Jesus Christ. McCoy's probably thinking, Jesus Christ, what do you think I am, a doctor? I'm not a doctor, not a miracle worker, you bastard. So, but this like right here. So Joey's little issue, or his little thing that makes him, lose his ambitions, is that he's oversensitive to certain things. Like here, he's like, why are we out here? What's going on? Do we deserve to be out here? 6 people died, on that planet. Because what happened in that planet was they killed each other, basically. They
right.
One person took a shower with their clothes on, and which is directly referenced in TNG, The Naked Now, the sequel to this episode. But they also the guy took over they were also setting up what happens in engineering with the guy in the computer room, just like completely shutting off the system to the point where they just froze to death. And one woman had her neck broken. We saw her in the opening, and that was clearly a mannequin. They bought a mannequin. They bought a female mannequin from probably Macy, or from a department store, to use for that.
That was
scene.
so cool.
Yes. Yeah, there were a bunch of mannequins in that scene, and then he had a bunch of mannequins on stage 10, which is where they filmed stuff outside the Enterprise. And then you have Spock, Nimoy, and then you have Stuart Moss, Joe Termolen. So.
Yeah. Porio, can I just kind of comment on this? I wasn't quite sure about the blueberry jam effects for the stabbing. Were you? It wasn't looking very good.
It did not. It looked very similar to. It looked very similar to the way that because he had his hand on the desk,
Yeah,
and that's where he got the red looking liquid disease hit his hand and stuff. It kind of makes me think of that. I don't know why, but yeah. Yeah, so this is like right after the sick bay. He just
he loses
now
control.
The question is, had they stopped, had they just walked away from him, would he have still killed himself? That's a question for the chat. Would he have still killed himself? It's like it was stop talking to him.
It's like a Matrix question, isn't it? Would you have knocked it over if I hadn't have said anything? Talking about the vase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's have a look at this. I want to get a screen capture of. Wow, she was looking very good in this episode.
Yeah, Majel Barrett.
Majel Barrett.
You know how she got her job. You know how she got her job, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about that on the last one. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we did episode 1 last month, December.
She was really good friends with Mr. Roddenberry. They like to talk a lot. They like to do stuff together quite a bit. So, and. So they didn't like the networks did not like her. They didn't like her as number 1 in the cage because she was a brunette in the cage. She was the original second in command. And I'll be honest, she's perfect as a female character in this, but I don't know, some of her line delivery I just didn't like her line delivery.
She's not theatrically trained, that's a problem, Lobby.
Yeah. So like when she's talking to Nimoy, like I personally feel like I'm just like, I'm not buying her. She's obviously reading lines. She's remembering lines and stuff, but I don't really care for her delivery.
Can I just interrupt?
But she still has that sexy voice.
Norporiel's going for it. He's on a roll. We can't stop him. There's a question for you in the chat, Norporiel. For Daniel with a very generous super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Daniel. What's the Norporiel's grading of The Naked Now, TNG? It was pretty bad, but at least we got to see sexy Tasha.
I give it the grade fully functional.
That's the only grade you can give it.
And no other comment other than that.
Oh God, Poriel, you sly fox, says Nosferatu. Okay, that's cool.
But like
Yeah,
she has such a sexy voice. Like I
she
mean that
does.
explains why Ron Barry was cheating on his wife and kids to do that. I'm not saying that was right. I think that was a pretty piece of shit thing to do. It's never good to cheat on your wife and kids, or cheat on your wife, and especially when you have two daughters. But can you blame him
My
for?
God, what's going on, Napoleon? Really? Yeah, man, the things that must have gone on. We talked about that briefly last episode, didn't we? In the background, the things you
Yeah,
didn't hear about. So,
yeah.
how about this scene here? Is this the Irish? He's trying to be Irish, or he is Irish crew member who starts hitting on Majel
He
Barrett.
so yeah. So what happens is Sulu and they're both went. Um, they both are infected now. Sulu sneaks off the bridge like a little boy. He's just like, let's go, let's remove the edge by going for a quick workout. And he's like, and Riley's like, no, what are you doing? So don't be a fool. And he sneaks out. Spock is just like looking at his scanner, his blue scanner, like
Yeah.
it's a virtual boy right there. Um, but then after a while, he starts reacting. Where's Lieutenant Sulu? He's like, never fear, O'Reilly's here. One Irishman is worth 10,000. Get him out of here. Go to sickbay. Yes, sir. Well, that's
I'll,
right. Let the women work too. Universal suffrage. Universal suffrage. Because
I'll tell you where Sulu is. He's here.
Takes Sulu's position. Uhura takes Sulu's position. He's like, that's right. Let the women work too. Universal suffrage. I laughed when I heard that. I forgot about that.
I did too. It's a crazy line. We've got Sub Commander Tal. It's a myth. NBC objected to Major Barrett because they didn't want a strong woman character. They just didn't want Roddenberry's underwhelming girlfriend in the role. Here we go.
Definitely, yeah. I can definitely see where you're going. I can believe that. I can totally believe that. So, but yeah. So like what you just showed was Riley infecting Nurse Chapel because he's like. He's just like he's just like, oh, Joe. He's like, what happened to Joe? He died, didn't he? We should talk about Joe's death because he died. He ultimately dies, and he basically, what happened was McCoy was successful in the surgery, closed the wound, but yet he was still dying.
Oh my God. What do you think about that, Napoleon? Think about it's set in the future, of course, the Star Trek universe. Surely they could have repaired a butter knife stabbing, couldn't they? Well, they did, but
they did.
What do you think? He chose to die?
The thing is, he didn't want to live according to McCoy. And McCoy's
no.
that's not really a fact. That's just a supposition. He's like, yeah, but I can't really. And he's like, but McCoy's like, I can't explain this. So what he probably did was he just stopped. I'm guessing he stopped breathing. He just was that intent on dying to the point where he probably just stopped breathing. And I think that's my interpretation. If anyone in the chat has a better interpretation, please share it.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
And give Grayson some support. Join the Wakizashi. Join the Wakizashi Tea Town right here. Is that what you call it? Is that what you call
the Tea House Dojo? Please join the dojo.
Yeah, consider doing that.
We'll all start training together, Napoleon. How about that? I'll get you doing some jiu-jitsu and some tea making at the same time. Combining tea and jiu-jitsu only on this channel, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Jiu-jitsu.
Here we go. Daniel's saying these were back in the days where people still referred to their European heritage. Irishman, Scotchman, Russian, and it coloured their personality. Today, everyone's just, in inverted commas, white.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's like, Joe died, didn't he? Yeah, I'm so sorry. Well, you know what his problem was? He wasn't born an Irishman. I was just like, oh my! I'm watching it now from today's perspective. I'm just like, oh my God.
Great to see Jacob. Great to see Leia Rose in the chat as well. You're looking good, and thank you for your support, all of you. Okay, so from this scene we jumped to the Sulu scene, one of the most famous scenes in the first season of the original series, I think. Sulu getting his top off, going all was it fencing? Wasn't it? He was fencing.
Yeah, he has a foil. So the history behind this, and I've actually heard this firsthand from George, because George actually came and visited my college when I was in college. He went to UIC in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And this was shortly after. This was mid 2000s. This was shortly after he came out. So I think he came out around 2004,
Oh,
2003,
really?
2004. A friend of mine said, "Hey, did George Takei die?" I'm like, "No, he just came out." Oh yeah. So
He came out and his career died. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
no.
I can't say
It's
that.
so bad. But but he came out and like, and people like, and like majority of the people that were at the thing, like this was like a little like, I don't know if you call it a seminar, but yeah, he talked. I was probably the only straight person. Me and a buddy, me and another fraternity member were probably the only Trekkies there, and then everybody else was, well, part of the the community, the community that he's part of. So, but it was really cool. It was really cool hearing him talk about Gene Roddenberry and everything. And of course, somebody brought up this poster. Like, this is probably, I was thinking about, like, what else is he really well known for in this series besides this scene? This is his most famous scene.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, because he doesn't do much in Star Trek. Even in the movies, he, like, the only other thing that he's really known for is being Captain Sulu in Star Trek 6. And Star Trek 3, he's like, "Don't call me Tidy." I mean, that's pretty much it.
Well, he fought for that, didn't he, Napolo? He fought to become captain. He was really envious of Kirk, wasn't he? Of
Yeah.
Bill Shatner.
Yeah, he was. And it was Shatner that actually, he had barely any role in Wrath of Khan. It was Shatner that convinced him, or at least according to Wikipedia, to come back and act to be in the movie, be in the Wrath of Khan. So, but yeah, he was nuts with this. So they originally, John D. F. Black had different ideas in the initial writing of the episode. Originally, and okay, I'm freaking Sub Commander Tal. I was about to say that, but this is exactly what I was going to say. Samurai
Perfect timing.
And George Takei grew up being a fan of Errol Flynn and swashbuckling and Robin Hood. So he brought the idea of him using a foil. Brought the idea of using a foil, and they're like, "Okay, we'll do that." And he was going nuts. He went nuts with this. Like, there was a point where he's on the bridge. He's doing this all over the place, and Shatner's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to kill us? Like, seriously? Like, George, cut that shit out. Like, seriously." So
no way. I had no idea about that.
And then, of course, George Takei denies it, because that's what George Takei does. He's like, "No, everybody thought I was professional. Sure you were."
Roman of the Empire saying he had ship envy. There we go.
Yeah.
And Zombie Box Reviews, he still hates Shatner's guts. Oh my.
Yeah, just seeing what he said. He says some pretty vile stuff about Mr. Shatner. I'm sorry.
I think he's lost the plot, like a lot of people, unfortunately. I don't know if it's Hollywood that's done that or whatever.
I don't know. But I mean, Shatner himself is a dick. I don't deny that. But hey, at least the way he acts on social media is better, in my opinion.
Now, probably what do you think about this comment from Sub-Commander Tal? Takei had a lot of good moments in the first season, but after he did Green Berets, his character never got good material again.
Yeah, he was absent quite a bit. Yeah, so what Sub-Commander's talking about is he was absent for quite a bit of season 2, like up from like episode. He was absent from like episodes 42, so all the way from Trouble with Tribbles, probably all the way to, I think, maybe By Any Other Name, episode 51, and then there was only a few more episodes left of that season.
Okay.
So he was gone for a good 10. He was gone for a good 10 episodes, like, because he was on Green Berets with Mr. John Wayne, the Duke himself.
Yeah. No way. I completely forgotten he was even in that. Like, it's been years since I saw it. So
he wasn't a great episode. Now, one thing that I'm sure fans of this show know, a lot of people were also on Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible was the other show that was also being produced at Desilu, and they used a lot of the same actors. So George Takei was actually in a great episode. He actually had a good role in Mission Impossible. There was an episode where, and this is going to sound relevant, but they were spies from Russia, from the Soviet Union, trying to subvert our pop culture, and they had people everywhere, and they were teaching Soviet spies how to be Americans and how to infiltrate. And their goal was to get rid of them, to discredit them and get them out of there. And George Takei was like a guest star helping Mr. Phelps and all the the IMF. The IMF crew and everything. So that was a great episode, but it's very relevant to what's going on today.
It's a shame though, isn't it? Really, what like Daniel was talking about, it. He's been a bit of a stain on the Star Trek's legacy, and you can see that he was envious and jealous over the years because it was great to see him in this when it all started with
Yeah,
natural representation of different cultures, different countries. It was good
yeah.
to see, and I don't know why. Poor guy. Maybe he just had like Napoleon syndrome. He just couldn't get over the success and all the stardom that Shatner got, and of course Leonard Nimoy as well.
And that might be the case. Maybe it's something, I don't know. Maybe it's something deeper. Who knows? I mean, he makes quite a bit of money. He goes to conventions. He charges
Oh
a
yeah,
lot for an autograph,
I
and I
bet.
think he's still happily married to his husband. So his husband Brad. I watched their documentary years ago. So yeah, I mean, it's just you see him on Twitter, and I'm just like I always say, go away. I'm just like, go away. I don't even say anything else. I'm just like, go away. Your takes are terrible. You easily take sides instead of not taking sides. Like if I did something that I needed to defend myself, and something happened, and then like if I was a kid, and then these actors would come out against me because I was defending myself, that would
Yeah,
break my heart. Because I mean, when I was a kid, I looked up to these characters. So, I
yeah.
mean, I'm so grateful I'm an adult. I don't. I mean, I don't. It doesn't. Don't take it nearly as hard. But if I was a kid and this happened directly to me. Hopefully, that the kid, um, let's just say his name's Kyle. Hopefully, he wasn't a Star Trek fan for that reason.
Yeah, man, it's a shame, but look at this. We got zombie box reviews. Good comment. I missed Nimoy. He was a class act.
Nimoy was quiet. He was very reserved. He was very artistic, and
Smart.
I watched his document. His son Adam made a documentary called "For the Love of Spock,"
Yeah, me too.
and he had a he as Nimoy was always focused, hyper focused on his work. He was barely at home. I mean, being an actor, I mean, I'm assuming it's the same today. 14, being a Star Trek actor, you were expected to work 12 to 14-hour days to be able to finish episodes. Had a 5-day shooting schedule.
Yeah.
You had to, and they had to finish. Like you had Roddenberry, you had the producers, you had NBC executives all breathing down everybody's neck because of that. So yeah,
Hail Pips, how you
stuff
doing? Good
that
to see you. Also, Jacob's here as well. Whooper Trooper, good to see you all in the chat. It's great. I could sit here and listen to Naporio talk about Star Trek, like all day. But we're going to keep this like, don't worry, it's not going to be too long. We're going to keep it under an hour. But I like this shot. I took this kind of out of context, Naporio. I just like this scene of Scotty, in one of the, what would you call it? What,
it's
you
a
know, the proper
Jeffries
word.
tube. It was
The
named
Jeffries
after.
tube, there we go. I was
It
going to
was
say
named after
ventilation
the designer. So you had, how Ralph McQuarrie did Star Wars. He did a lot of the designs for Star Wars. Well, Matt Jeffries was his Star Trek equivalent.
shaft. Okay.
And what's funny is I'll be honest, they actually hired Ralph McQuarrie to do stuff for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And what ultimately happened was that ended up going into Star Trek Discovery, and it became one of the ugliest looking. The Starship Discovery and Discovery is one of the ugliest ships. And you're
No!
like, that is not. I'm like, you can't. You think like, how is that Ralph McQuarrie? But I'll be honest, like if it wasn't for Ralph McQuarrie, Star Wars would not look the way it does. So you have to. Reason why Star Wars is a big success, besides the writing and everything, but it's because of the look too.
I have to interrupt you, Naporio. Sorry, you said Star Trek Discovery, didn't you?
Oh, I
Okay,
said, I
anyway.
said something that must not be said. I take responsibility.
So Commander Tal's asking, is this the first time we see the Jeffries tube?
I think
Good
so.
question.
Yeah, because we see the Jeffries tube in Charlie X as well. They're lowering like a big pole down there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think this is the first episode. They made a big deal with the shot. So here he's trying. So Scotty's trying to unlock engineering, and because
Yeah.
engineering is being sealed, so they lost control of the ship. Riley is now drunk, and he starts singing "Oh Come Again, Kathleen," and he's singing repeatedly on the intercom, driving everybody nuts. And he shuts off the engines, and they can't control the ship unless they get into engineering. So he's trying to figure out how to get in there,
Yeah.
and he's trying to unlock the circuitry that he needs to cut through in order to get in, and it just goes batshit crazy. Like they are on their way down. Like they are there's like a 15-minute they have 15 minutes to get the warp engines back on,
Yeah.
or they're going to burn up in the atmosphere. Like they're
Yeah.
heading straight into the atmosphere because like the once again the planet is disintegrating. The planet is disintegrating and gravity keeps shifting, and they have to course correct. They have to correct the orbit in order to compensate. If they can't compensate, they're going to go straight down. And they're trying to get the engines. They're trying to get the engines back on.
It's a lot happening, isn't it? There is a lot that happens, like you're saying. It does. You can see it as a bottle episode. There's a lot on the ship, but there's so much going on. It's really cool. It's definitely worth watching. It's a huge recommend, by the way, if you haven't got that already.
So while all this is going on, everybody's getting more and more infected. More and more people are getting infected by this disease. Like there's a guy brushing something on a wall saying "Love mankind," and he's laughing. And then there's this dude who is like sexually. I wouldn't go as far as say sexually harassing Yeoman Rand, but he's basically like he's in her way, and he starts singing these love songs to her. And I have to admit, I saw him and I realized, wait a minute, I have his autograph. That actor who did that sang to Yeoman Rand was still alive, and he was at the Las Vegas convention I went to in 2021. I got his autograph. So, like,
that's awesome.
Even though he was like in a bit part, like I consider myself grateful that we still have some of those actors, because a lot of those actors are no longer with us, and we want to.
That's true.
And we want to cherish them for as long as we got them for.
Exactly.
Because before you know it, they're going to be gone.
We're talking like late 60s, so think about it. We're talking on like pretty much almost 60 years ago now, which is insane, isn't it?
Yeah, like those actors, all the people that worked on this are at least in their 80s now. Like people who were like Bruce Hyde, who was 24 in this episode, he's no longer with us. But if he was alive, he'd be about 80. He'd be about 80 right now. He's about the same age as Paul McCartney. So, but he's no longer with us. I don't know if Stuart Moss is still alive. I'd have to look him up.
No. And I pose a question from
neither
Daniel
of them,
for you.
Majel and Leonard are no longer with us. Like
no,
it's crazy.
She's looking very sultry in this scene as well, where she starts to try to win Spock over. It's a funny scene, isn't it? You see it, and then we see Spock struggling with his emotions, like right after.
Yeah, she's just like, "I love you, Mr." She's like, "I love you, Mr. Spock.
I
love the human of you. I love the Vulcan. I love all of you. I'm sorry that we're human." And he's like, oh, "I'm sorry too." He walks away, he goes into the corridor. So what originally happened was he goes in the corridor, he starts crying in the corridor, and the paintbrush dude was originally supposed to paint a mustache on him. And Nimoy is like, no, we're not doing that. Okay. I want my character to have a little bit more dignity. And he fought John D.F. Black on this. He actually went over John D.F. Black's head to Mr. Roddenberry. Roddenberry, and Roddenberry's like, do what Larry says. And John D.F. Black's like,
dignity, God darn it.
Nimoy, you motherfucker, So
Imperial, we've got a trivia question for you. Sorry, Daniel, does Imperial know who the Jeffrey tubes were named after? Which Jeffrey it was? Was it just a random name? I wonder.
It was Matt Jeffries.
Matt Jeffries.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know there was another Jeffries. I forget his name, but it was I believe it was Matt Jeffries.
Nice one.
This was named after. So, yeah, I used to read I read the books. I read I saw the sketches. I saw all the sketches of the sets that they did when I was a kid. Like I was so into this. Like this was like a one of a kind show for me. Like the color, the sound, the music. It was so different from any other television I've seen. And I really connected. As a kid, I really looked up to these characters. These were good characters.
You were watching it, of course, probably was it 80s or so? You're seeing it in full color, of course.
90s.
On a color TV set.
It was
90s, right? When this first came out, was it black and white? And most people had black and white sets, didn't they? I don't know about America.
I think so. Yeah,
the UK did.
They called it color cast. So what I said in the preview it was color cast. So I think they if you had a color TV, you could watch it in color. But if you had a black and white TV, sorry.
Yeah, I know. You're missing out. You will miss out on the beautiful Technicolor of this series. Mm-hmm. And great to see Trip in the chat. How are you doing? She's figured out Nosferatu, Neporial. You're just a ghost in the machine, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seeing Spock so emotional for me was Leia Rose. Did it make you sad, Leia? It was strange to see that. And Neporial, do we see much more of Spock showing his emotions? Is it just because of the virus?
Oh yeah. We learned quite a bit about Spock, especially when Kirk confronts him. So, yeah, we see we learned quite a bit about Spock. We learned that he could never tell his mother he loved her, and that it was looked at in poor taste to be, to love and to, have friendship. And like he literally says, when I feel affection for you, Jim, I feel ashamed. So Whoopa, you're old too.
He's talking to me. He's not referring to you. It's all
Yes,
it's all me.
He said you guys. He said you guys. Yeah. Whoopa's a young Pokemon. What can I say? So, but yeah, like here, like Kirk is like the only way for them to get out of this mess. So they get it. They get into the engineering room. They get into the engineering room. Riley's still singing. Kirk just pulls them up, and the security take him away because and we find out he shuts off the engines. And they only have 8 minutes left. Like there's a countdown. They have only 8 minutes left, and there's 30 minutes. There's 30 minutes. They need 30 minutes in order to turn on the engines. That's just the rule in Star Trek right now. That's the rule for that's the Mr. Scott says, I cannot change the laws of physics. I got to have 30 minutes, and you get there.
It's a long time, Captain. It's a long time, that ain't it?
Very long time. And so they have to do this theoretical implosion technique, and they need to mix matter and antimatter cold, and they need a formula. They need an equation. Who has the equation? Spock. And that's why Kirk is in there saying, dude, we're going to risk implosion. I need to know the equation. And Spock keeps saying, I'm emotional. I can't tell my mother. I couldn't tell her I loved her. And he's smacking him. He's smacking him. He's smacking him. He's smacking him.
Slap him out of it.
And then he grabs it and he backhands him across the table. He backhands. I was like, holy crap. So
it's a great scene.
And then of course, then Kirk starts getting hit with the disease. He starts feeling the disease when Uhura's like, hey, Captain, did you find Spock? Yes, I found Mr. Spock. Oh, crap. I got it. The disease.
Oh, no. And he's fighting with the control, isn't he? He's trying to control it because, come on, he's Jim Kirk. You think he's going to beat it. Can he beat the disease, Napura? Can he keep off the infection and the effects?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. I know exactly. So it's crazy. Yeah, can he beat off the effects? Well, I mean, here we learn quite a bit about Kirk.
We do.
Like we learn that he loves, or he's attracted to Yeoman Rand. And we kind of already learned that this episode came out before The Enemy Within, but this episode was made after The Enemy Within. The Enemy Within is one where he splits into evil Kirk, and his evil part, his negative part, attacks Yeoman Rand and tries to drape her. Literally, I don't know how that episode got past the censors, but it was crazy. I'm watching. I'm a kid. I'm watching this. I'm like, holy crap! This is really violent. Like this is 60s. Like this got past 60s censors. I don't know how they did that. It was violent, and he's on top of her, laying down, and she scratches his face, and he pulls her, yanks her, knocks her to the floor, and she's like, "Get Mr. Spock! Get Mr. Spock!" I know we're talking about a totally different episode.
I need to go and rewatch that, definitely, and we'll probably do it for this series. Hopefully we're gonna do one of these like once a month, a monthly series of Gray getting back into Star Trek, because I just got so sick of modern Trek that it sent me back there. But let me shout out a couple of comments. First of all, earlier on, Nosferatu was saying, God, Poriel's gone mad with power. I'll tell you what, mate, it's great to see Poriel so positive, so excited, so enthusiastic about something and talking about something good. I love it, and that's why I brought him on. I want him to talk. I want his deep Star Trek lore. And Daniel sends a $5 super chat. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Holy cow, within the Star Trek universe, Jeffries Tubes and Captain Jeffries, designer of the NX-class starships, are named in Matt Jeffries' honor.
Yep, I believe so. I really need to rewatch Enterprise. Like they had a golden opportunity to build. You know how TNG built on its little universe, the 24th century universe with DS9 and Voyager. Yeah. Enterprise had that. I mean, if Enterprise was a stronger series, they could have made a couple of spin-offs, but because of bad timing and everything, UPN canceled Enterprise when it got good, and they made a shitty finale. But season 4 and season 3 and season 4 were fucking phenomenal. I don't care what anybody says. Season 4 did a lot to try to connect Enterprise with the original series. And that was the one thing that originally I was kind of, that was one of the original reasons why I didn't watch Enterprise, was that the first 2 seasons were too much like TNG. I'm like, this is supposed to be a prequel to the original series. like have it someone resemble the original series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that didn't make sense to me as well. I dropped out of that quite early. Comment here from Trip. No point. Look at that gorgeous beehive hairstyle. She is looking good, isn't she? In this photo.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like I really wish they would. I like Ron Berry got rid of her for. I mean, I like Majel Barrett, but I would have rather had Grace Lee Whitney stay on the show as the like. I liked her. It's too bad they fired her. Like she was. I'm glad they brought her for like 4 of the 6 movies.
Yeah.
I wish they would have given. I wish they would have given her a bigger. I wish they would have given her a bigger role and everything, besides just like simple cameos and everything.
I'm in trouble, Noporio, with my comments. People are trying to clip it. Gray wants Noporio deep. You want Noporio's deep what now? Lore, Star Trek lore. Come on, guys, it's me. I know you're joking. You're joking.
Well, I mean, if it's not deep, then it's shallow. And
Trip says
neither of us are shallow people.
Although Kirk with that torn shirt is actually turning me on. There we go.
That's funny. McCoy just rips off the shirt like it's nothing, like it was meant to be ripped off, and he they didn't have to do that. Like he could just inject it in, because that's what they do in the show. They just inject despite the fact that they are wearing their clothes and everything. I don't know how that works, but hey. It's hey, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. This is 23rd century technology. Who knows? Maybe it beams into their system. Once it contacts the shirt, then it beams into their bloodstream, the serum, or the antidote, or the right talent, or whatever diseases or medicines that McCoy comes up with throughout the series.
Oh man, that's awesome. Just let me shout out Low Spec. Linux is in the chat as well. Great. Wakizashi wants Mangaporeal. I don't think Noporio has the manga lore.
I've read a couple of Tezuka mangas that came out in the 70s. Okay. One is super duper fucked up. Like super, like it's like you think Tezuka, you think Astro Boy, you think Kimba. I think he did Kimba the White Lion. Very very innocent stuff, but he did some 70s. Like the 70s was a very dark period for entertainment, even in Japan. He made a fucked up manga called Mu. It's called MW, but it's pronounced Mu. Okay. And I read it. I was like, holy shit! This is like it's a thriller.
I don't know.
And the main character is like evil or like a villain. Oh god, it was entertaining, but it was fucked up. The stuff that they talk about, it's crazy. Sorry.
There's a lot of
stream.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm surprised to see we've got a full-on swearing Noporio today. This is quite rare, ladies and gentlemen. But no, it's good to see. I like seeing you passionate.
Some Romulan ale or blueberry ice, as I call it.
So this is definitely a recommend, isn't it, Noporio? Would you say? Would you recommend someone watches this one first, or would they be better off watching the one we covered last time in the last episode?
I think if you really want to meet the characters first, then this would be a great first episode. But
yeah,
I think Corbomite Maneuver is what truly defined Star Trek. So I think Corbomite. That's why I suggested we do Corbomite Maneuver first. Yeah, it really, really introduces Kirk and McCoy and most of the crew. This is a really great, but this is if you want to watch a first bottle episode where it just takes place primarily on the ship and it's mostly, great character studies.
Yeah,
this one. That's why I said this one would be number 2. And am I free to reveal what our third episode's going to be?
Yeah, I'd love to. And by the way, this is a great choice. I agree. The Corbomite Maneuver was awesome to start me off, like to remind me of how it all started. And this was the second episode. It's fantastic. I loved this one.
Yeah, I think the next important episode that we're going to cover, and it has something to do with maybe this type of ale I'm drinking, which is it's not ale, it's diet soda, but it's the Romulans, Balance of Terror. Based off of the enemy, based off the submarine movie, the World War II movie, Enemy Below, which I still have to see. I still have not seen that movie. But yeah, you got a couple of new members, Gray. One I may or may not have committed to, or
my god,
donated to. So Captain Fandom Nerd's now a member of Wakizashi's dojo, and you got Trip. Trip is now a sponsor too.
Okay, it says Daniel gifted the one for Trip. I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
Noporio gifted the 2 previous ones, or it might even be 3. You're going for it. Is this how
Me
it
and
works,
Daniel are
Noporio?
now fighting. So me
Are
and
they left
Daniel
over?
are now fighting a generosity war. So first it was Mags, then it was Steve, then it was Mags. Now it's me versus Daniel. The generosity war is never over, Al Thor. Sorry, that's a Wheel of Time. That's a Wheel of Time thing.
Jeff Pearson, yeah, I know, mate. Pro tip, pro tip: change the top chat to live chat. I do that, but I'm trying to keep an eye on this, and I forget to go back to live streaming on Stream Elements. Sorry, on StreamYard, it doesn't show up, does it? No, probably like when people gift memberships, it just says somebody became a sponsor. But when I go back to the actual live chat, which I did, and I've just seen emojis flying up the side of the live chat. I don't know what's going on with that. Let me address this, by the way. Nosferatu has been having a problem with this, and it only shows on his phone when he's watching my streams. There's a weird big red heart in the corner, and he can't get rid of it. I looked into it, and it turns out in the summer last year, YouTube announced they're going to be trialing this thing where you've got, you can hit emojis and send them like flying up the screen for some reason. I don't know if it just shows up for you or if it shows up on the stream or what, but we can't get rid of them. We can't get rid of them.
I don't think I know how to do that,
No.
to be honest.
I looked into it. Can you remove it? And it's like, no, you can't at the moment because it's a trial phase. It's in trial phase. Curse YouTube.
I don't know what to say.
Yes, to see my comments, go to live chat, says Trip. Roman is just saying, by the way, Balance of Terror, Noporial, is one of my top 3 episodes, a classic submarine warfare, and we see Mark Leonard as Romulan.
He spelled Leonard wrong, by the way. It's Leonard.
This is why I bring Noporial on, for the
No,
incredible,
I'm kidding, yeah.
deep lore. I'm joking.
But Mark Leonard did such a great job in that episode that they brought him back to play, Sarek. And he's pretty much he's a legend. I mean, he hasn't been with us since 1996, so he's pretty much a legend at this point. He was in TNG. He was in 2 episodes of TNG. He was in 3 of the original 6 movies, and he was in 2 original series episodes. So yeah, seriously. Roman.
What's he saying? I missed that.
He says, F off, jerk off, Poriel.
Oh, God. And Zach's is saying, Zach's is blaming me, Noporial.
Roman's my favorite Californian here.
Zach's is blaming me. It's like I've gone into my settings. I don't know how to do it, but it doesn't show up for me. It only shows up on phones as far as I know. And I think that's what Jeff was saying, Jeff Pearson. It just shows up on phones. I don't watch on my... Well, I do watch on my phones quite a lot, and I've never seen it. Maybe it only works for channels that you love so much, right, Nosferatu? Because you love my channel, don't you? Okay, before we wrap up, Noporial, this has been awesome. Thank you. As I say, I wanted to keep it under an hour because otherwise people won't come back. But I'll tell you what, the first one we did, the Corbomite maneuver, for some reason, I think maybe it got picked up, and for me, it did very well after I think a few days after we finished it, it got like, and this is for me, guys, like, don't laugh, it got over 400 views, which is amazing for me. I was delighted, and I put it all down to this man right here, sat next to me, who I love getting into his deep lore, by the way. I'll just say that.
Hey, you got someone else join the generosity war today. Mags is here, and she 5 people are now part of your dojo.
Mags joined a while back. Yeah, she was in one of the first few to join, so I really appreciate that. Great to see you. It's not showing up for me. Where the heck? I'm missing everybody. I've just seen Salty Travelling Seas here. Great to see you. And I believe you did a good stream with him, Noporial, on Star Trek recently. What was that? Please tell us about that.
We were talking about Taste of Armageddon. That's the episode where they go to a planet full of people that fight their wars based on what an AI tells them. And so, if the AI tells them that this city was attacked and this part of the city was blown up by fusion bombs, well, the people who were in that area at that time are required to report to disintegration chambers to off themselves, basically, for the greater good. So instead of fighting a real war and fighting really struggling for your survival, we're expected to comply with what the government tells you to do. And if you don't do it, for the greater good, then there's like secret messages going in between the planet and its warring neighbor, and if they break that agreement, because it's an agreement, they have to do they have to develop real weapons and real bombs, and
Mm.
that freaks them out. Like the leader of the planet calls Kirk a barbarian, and it gets to a point where Kirk wants to take them out. Like he's like, we are going to do General Order, what was it, 20? Salty would know, where the Enterprise will destroy Emini R7. Like that's the only time, like the Enterprise, or like on Star Trek, the Enterprise actually threatens the entire planet's existence. It's crazy. It's a crazy episode, and you just look at how people comply nowadays with certain things that may have happened the last couple of years, without going into too much detail. But the level of compliance is scary, and that's that's what Kirk was fighting against in A Taste of Armageddon. He was stopping the woman from freely going into that disintegration chamber for the sake of the greater good of her society, for the civilization to continue.
Wow. I say I've not watched the stream yet because I want to rewatch the episode first and see it, and then I'm going to watch your guys' stream about it. But looking forward to that. We've got Jeff L. Pearson saying the old Star Trek episodes truly are gems. Yes. And also Noporio, check this out. With all this talk of Star Trek, I should make a Starfleet Command Orion Pirates PC game vid based on the old tabletop game Starfleet Battles.
Do it.
Wow.
Do it.
That sounds awesome. Okay, this has been brilliant. And Mags, thank you so much. She kind of slipped in quietly and gifted 5 memberships. No problem.
Yes,
you were right. I missed it.
Yeah, so you got you have who's a member? Shelby Loves is a member now. Monkey Jeebus is a member. Pips is a member. Trying to see who else.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's raining memberships, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on?
Yeah, I just donated 1, and Mags is going for 5. She's going for the throat right here. So she officially won this. She officially won this battle right now.
Okay, check out Jeff Pearson's Low Spec Linux channel for that. Hopefully he's going to be doing that soon. That sounds good. So without what's the word? Before we finish, Noporio, let me shout you out and say thank you so much for coming on. Do you have anything that you've got coming up soon? A new video coming out or a live stream you'll be on?
I do. I'm actually going to be on with Pips. The White Cloaks are doing a stream. They're going to be watching an edit of the Wheel of Prime series. A better edit, apparently. I don't know much about it, but that's what they're doing tonight. So I'm doing that right after this. And tomorrow I'm doing my Wheel of Time stream, continuing my Great Hunt read and discussion. So okay. I'm still working on my opening for that one. And today, it's funny. Today I was at the DMV in Illinois, and I just was so pissed off because I hate Illinois. I hate the Illinois DMVs with passion. So I was waiting in line for a long time. I was talking to the guy in front of me, and because we were talking, I told him I had a YouTube channel. Well, he became my 2,000th member, so I hit 2,000 today. So
2,000! Yeah. Oh my God!
2,000. So
I need to share something for that. Where
because
are we? Just give me 1 second, sorry. 2,000 members, here we go. This is for Noporio. God, I love Excalibur so much.
I still have to watch. Thank you. One of my videos, my Zelda video, blew up in December, and it just got me like 300 subscribers within a month. So it's just... So working on that video for 2 months is paying off, and I feel very grateful for that. So, and I feel grateful that you guys are supporting me too. So, but yeah, so because of that, so not tomorrow, but the week after, I'm going to be doing a 2K celebration stream. So anybody's people are welcome to hop on if they want to, and probably be cycling people in and out. I don't want to have too many people on the panel. But yeah. Thanks, guys. Pips, all you guys. Thank you.
That's fantastic news, mate. That's brilliant. I remember when you hit 1,000. So there we go. Hey.
Yeah. I feel the 2,000. I think the second 1,000 felt more earned because I didn't really. I was depending too much on particular communities saying, "Hey, look at me! I got a YouTube channel." Blah blah blah. Yeah. So here I tried to do it based on the content of my channel. I didn't say content of my character. I said content of my channel. And looks like it paid off. And of course, being on other people's streams, and got a bunch of Wheel of Time readers now subscribe because of my Wheel of Time reads. They're re-experiencing it again through me reading it for the first time. So, and I just want, and I feel the same way when people start watching, Star Trek, the original series. Like, I'd love to be there to see how people react to the original series. It's not without its criticisms, but I still love it. I still love it regardless. It's almost like an unconditional love. It made me happy. It made me happy as a kid when there was a lot of things that made me unhappy as a kid. So that was there. Of course, the Nintendo games that I talk about were also there. That made me happy as well. And that's why that's why me doing these retrospectives is my way of honoring that and just, kind of, telling my story in a way. So.
That's beautiful, man. And it's all earned. And there's nothing wrong with what you did for, as you said in the beginning, is like just getting yourself out there, getting yourself known. Like, look, yes, I've got a channel, and that's the way you do it. You've got to, publish yourself, haven't you? You've got to promote yourself.
Trip, were you one of those women?
I know. What do you reckon to her suggestion? A Star Trek stream about Kirk and his many women.
Yeah, actually, I actually think that'd be a great stream. There was like 20, I think there were like 24, 25 of them. Yeah, there were 25 women.
Okay, what's left to say? And she's like, "Yes," says Trip. That sounds awesome. We've got to do it.
But yeah, this Naked Time episode was originally meant to be a part 1 because they did make they made an episode where the episode begins with them being back in time. So the end of this episode, they go back in time. The implosion creates a anti-time effect where they go back in time like 3 days, 72 hours. They were supposed to take them all the way back to the year 1969 in Earth's past, where they encountered the pilot, the aircraft pilot. And their tractor beam destroys his craft, and they have to figure out how to take him back there without him revealing about the future. It's a great episode. It's called Tomorrow Is Yesterday. That was originally supposed to be part 2, but they scrapped that idea and they made both of these episodes, standalone. And Brilliant. That's basically how the episode ends. And yeah, just Kirk and the ship, learning about Kirk's love for the ship and everything. That was really the big finale for me, what we learn about Kirk, and that carries forward and for the rest of the series and in the movies. Definitely in the movies, especially that's what makes Star Trek 3's scene so poignant.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I couldn't have said it at all like that. That's brilliant, mate. Again, thank you so much for coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're working very hard at the moment. It must be tough with that. So great to see you. Great to have you on here.
Yeah, I was working quite a bit this week. Yeah, had to get a job done yesterday. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Neporial, for dropping the knowledge, says Joseph Dredd. And great to see you as well, Joseph Dredd. Joe Dredd, I am the law.
Too bad they never made a sequel to Dredd. Dredd was freaking awesome. I watched it not too long ago. It was freaking awesome.
There's still rumors they're making a series. Still rumors, but I think it's been in production hell for a long time. A TV series or a streaming series.
If Carl Urban can do freaking The Boys, he can do another freaking Dredd movie. Because he was great as Dredd.
He was. Okay, before we finish the program, I'm going to drop a very brief clip and then we'll go out. But please hang around in the chat room. We'll have a chat before you disappear. So this is to thank everyone. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you so much for joining the Wakizashi Tea House Dojo, and thanks for joining us on this trip trip through Star Trek lore with Nerporeal. We loved The Naked Time. It did have a little bit of a half-naked Sulu in it, but no naked women, unfortunately. Hey, this was the late 60s, so weren't quite ready for that yet.
I mean, they were naked. They were naked in their inhibitions. That was the reason why they called it. But yeah, there you go. Oh my.
Oh my.